Grace, mercy, and peace be to you from God our Father and Lord and Savior Jesus the Christ. One day, a very successful lawyer parked his brand new Lexus in front of the office to show off to his new colleagues. And when he's getting out of the car, a truck passes by too close and tears off the driver's side door. Someone calls 911 within minutes. Police officers on the scene. And before the officer can even ask a question, the lawyer starts to scream hysterically. His brand new Lexus, which he just picked up yesterday, was now ruined, and no matter what the body shop did, it would never be the same again. And as the lawyer starts to wind down his ranting and his raving, the officer shakes his head in disbelief and disgust. "You lawyers are so materialistic," he said. "While you're so focused on your possessions, you pay no attention to anything else going on around you." "How can you say that?" screamed the attorney. "Well, to begin with," says the officer, "you haven't noticed, but your left arm's missing from the elbow down. It must have been torn off when the truck hit you." "Oh no," screams the lawyer. "Where's my Rolex?" Sounds a lot like someone in our gospel lesson for today, doesn't it? In our scripture reading for today, Jesus says, "Take care. Be on guard against all kinds of greed. For one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." And then Jesus proceeds to tell a story about this successful farmer businessman. In fact, his lands produce so many crops, he doesn't know what to do with it. So he finally decides that he's going to tear down his old barns, he's going to build bigger ones. In this way, he figures he can go into semi-retirement. He says to himself, soul, interesting choice of words, isn't it? He says to himself, "Soul, you have ample goods for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry." But for all his savvy planning and financial investing, this man fails to plan for the most important thing of all, true life, indeed eternal life. Or as the Bible puts it, he fails to be rich towards God. He wastes his life in self-absorption. And he fails to focus on that which is truly eternal, which is relationships and the love of others. So what does these true riches look like? What does it mean to be rich towards God? Well, in Micah 6:8 we find these words. "He has shown you a more of what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God?" Storing up treasure in heaven, being rich towards God, has little to do with the accumulation of wealth and possessions, and everything to do with relationships. For when we do justice and love kindness, we are entering into a caring relationship with God's created children, in other words, one another, especially those in need. And when we walk humbly, we are entering into a personal relationship with God. And I would contend that it is these experiences which we truly treasure in life. This is something that the rich man with his big barn fails to get. He pays no thought to using his excess blessing to help others. Yeah, I called it an excess blessing. It was an excess blessing. It was something he didn't count on. It was something he didn't need. Why else would he be building bigger barns? But instead of making others a priority, this man makes for his priority feeding and drinking his soul. He spends his time feeding and drinking his soul, paying no attention to others. Once there was a wealthy man, and he was dying. And he grieved the fact that he had worked so hard on his wealth that he couldn't take any of it with him. So he prayed that he'd be allowed to take some of his wealth with him to heaven. Well, an angel hears the plea and comes down and appears before him and says, "Sorry, but you can't take it with you." But the man implores the angel, "Please go ask God, and God might bend the rules." So he starts to continue to pray that he be allowed to take his wealth with him to heaven. And the angel reappears and says, God says you can take one suitcase. So overjoyed, the man takes his largest suitcase, fills it with 24-karat bars of pure gold, and he puts it in the suitcase, sets it beside his bed. Shortly thereafter, the man dies and greets St. Peter in heaven. St. Peter takes one look at the suitcase and says, sorry, you can't bring that in. But the man explains he's got special permission and asks St. Peter if he would check with the Lord to verify his story. So St. Peter goes and checks it out, comes back, and says to the man, he says, you're right. You're allowed one carry-on, but I'm supposed to inspect it before I let it through. So St. Peter opens up the suitcase to see what was so priceless that the man couldn't possibly leave it. When he opens up and sees the gold bars, he says, what? You brought pavement? Remember the streets of heaven are supposed to be paved with gold, right? Howard Hendricks, the Bible teacher, once had dinner with a wealthy man of Boston old blue blood family, and during dinner, Hendricks asked him, well, how could you be surrounded by so much wealth all your life and yet not be consumed by materialism? And the man explained it this way. He said, my parents taught us that everything in our home was either an idol or a tool. I like that. I wonder what would happen if we were to consider all that we own and ask ourselves, now, is this an idol or a tool in my life? You see, true riches are all about relationships. Our relationship with God and our relationship with one another. Ultimately, when you think about it, it is only our relationships that are eternal and everlasting. And yet, how often are families torn apart by issues of wills and monies? Remember, Jesus tells this story in response to a request from someone in the crowd to settle an inheritance issue. Some things never change, do they? A 6th grade teacher once posed this problem to her class. She said, a wealthy man dies leaving $10 million. He gives 1/5 to his wife, 1/5 to his son, 1/6 to his butler, and the rest to charity. What does each get? And after a long silence, little Joey raises his hand. The teacher calls on Joey to answer. And with great sincerity, Joey says, a lawyer. And he's probably right. You know what they say, where there's a will, there's often a lawsuit, right? And that's why it's important that sometimes we get a chance to focus on what is truly important. The man was 29 years old. The newspaper carried a story some time back. He was married with 3 children under the age of 5. He was an attorney in Illinois. One day he woke up with this terrible headache. Throughout the day, the headache got worse. Then he had trouble seeing. Then he had trouble walking. He went to the doctor. The doctor examines him. The doctor says, your brain tumor is going to require special surgery. It needs to be done as soon as possible. And if you survive the surgery, there will be a year of critical recovery time. And if you survive that, then every year following that will be a step toward full recovery. Well, the man survived the surgery. He survived the first year of recovery. And then he gave this interview, and the reporter asked him, he said, have you learned anything from all of this? Yes, he replied, your life is on loan. I wonder what would happen if each of us considered every day to be a day on loan from God. I wonder how it would affect our priorities. I wonder how it would reflect or make a difference in our relationship with God and one another. After all, wealth and stuff, I would think, would take a back seat to time spent with family and friends. True riches in life are sitting around you. They're laughing around you. They're walking around you. They're loving around you. Let us therefore resolve to seek true treasure, the heavenly treasure, the kind that lasts forever.